This is the cheapest 144Hz IPS monitor I have ever seen. This is the Philips 24E2G2200. I bought this at Shopee Philippines for just about 3,364 Philippine pesos, or just about $50. The unboxing itself feels pretty cheap but still secured. The whole packaging used was mostly cardboard to reduce the cost even more. It comes with a power brick HDMI cable which supports up to 144Hz of refresh rates, and the monitor itself. The build quality is a 50-50 for me. Not the best, but not the worst. The stand it comes with is pretty small and not height adjustable. It also feels very flimsy, but for the price, I suggest getting a monitor arm like I did, to give you a freedom wherever you want it to be. The monitor is mostly built with plastic, so expect a lighter and really fragile monitor. But again, you can't really ask for more with that kind of price. The buttons to navigate the menu are on the harder side, can still easily be pressed. The on-screen display includes low blue mode, the input, picture tab to change the brightness, contrast, sharpness, and the gamma. Next is the game settings, which includes the settings for adaptive sync or FreeSync for the AMD GPUs, which I have. At this price, it doesn't include a speaker, but it does have an audio port to connect your IEMs or speakers. Now let's move on to the display itself. Since it is an IPS panel, it has a wide viewing angle, but it has some backlight bleeding as it is normally seen on an IPS panel. Especially on black colors, it can be seen all around. But these issues are normally on IPS monitors and in this price range. For the colors, I use this 7500K to give this neutral color and also tone down the brightness to 35 since my setup has no natural light coming in. I also set the gamma to 2.2 or even 2.6 for a darker color. Now let's talk about the performance. This is probably the part that matters the most, especially if you're buying this monitor for gaming. After testing it with the UFO ghosting test, I didn't notice any obvious ghosting or smearing. I also tested it with FPS games like CS2 and Rainbow Six Siege, and honestly, the experience was pretty smooth. I didn't notice any ghosting while playing, and yes, 144Hz works through HDMI, so you don't need to buy a DisplayPort cable just to reach 144Hz. I also tested the monitor at 144Hz using the UFO test, and the motion looked noticeably smoother compared to the standard 60Hz display. And when you actually play games at a high enough frame rate, the difference is even more noticeable. Just keep in mind that to properly take advantage of 144Hz, your PC needs to be able to consistently output around 144 FPS. So for gaming, especially if you're coming from a 60Hz monitor, this thing feels surprisingly smooth for something that costs around only 3,000 pesos. But of course, this monitor isn't perfect. There are a few things that I don't really like about it. As I said earlier, the stand isn't really that good. It is small and no chance to adjust the height, just the angle. Then the whole build quality is just too plasticky or too flimsy for me. Next is the backlit bleeding. It can be seen on white or black color, but in game, this isn't really that noticeable. But then again, I shouldn't expect it to be perfect, especially at this price point. It is more cheaper than my current gaming mouse. Now, who is this monitor for? Well, I recommend getting this if you are a broke boy like me, who just wants to play 144Hz for a budget. But if you want a more accurate color or higher refresh rate, then I suggest looking for another brand. But comparing this monitor to other budget ranges, this is probably the best selection out there since most of the other monitors have issues with bad panels which leads to breaking. So would I really recommend this monitor? Well, yes, not just because of the price, but for the performance it gives. I've been using this for a month and there were no issues so far, and I hope to stay that way. If you plan on getting into a 144Hz budget monitor, look no further and get this one. That's about it. I'll see you on to the next one.